Welcome to Exam 2 Review Week 5. Let's get started right away. This week covers inferential stats in general and with one population. On the midterm, look for a question where you are asked for minimum sample size and one dealing with proportion. So what do we need to know in order to answer the questions? Well, we need to know the process. Step 1. Understand the problem. Underline important data and words. Is it part of a population or a sample? What are you testing for? Proportion or mean? Population or sample? Is n less than 30? Then you would use a t-test. If it is greater than 30, you use the z-test. Step 2. Define what you are testing for. Population mean or population proportion? Remember, if n is less than 30, you use the t-test. If it's greater than 30, use the z-test. Determining the size of the sample is step 3. Use your z or t table. Step 4, is there directionality? Keywords to look for are difference, greater than, less than. The word difference means a two-tailed test. If you have directionality, then it is a one-tailed test. Step 5, alternative hypothesis comes directly from the question. Draw your PDF, which should include a null hypothesis, alternative hypothesis, critical value, alpha, p-value, and population if available. Your alternative hypothesis is what you want to prove. For one tail, it's 1.00 minus the percent confidence. Two tail, that alpha is divided in 2 to split the risk. Step 6, determine the critical value and place on your PDF. For an example, at 95% confidence interval, one-tailed test with 6 samples, you look for 0.050, level of significance, degree of freedom of 5, and your t-critical is 2.015. Step 7, write out an alternative hypothesis first, directly from the question. The null hypothesis is the opposite of the alternative hypothesis and always has an equal sign in its statement. Then create the decision rule. Starts with if. If t-test is greater than or equal than, depending on what you're trying to prove, reject the null hypothesis. You're always testing the null hypothesis. Step 8, do the test. A t-test uses the formula t-test sample mean minus the population mean times the square root of the number of samples divided by the standard deviation. For a z-test, use the formula z-test equals sample mean minus the population mean times the square root of n, which is the number of samples, divided by the standard deviation of the population or the sample, whatever is available. Step 9, determine your decision. The test either agrees with your null hypothesis or your alternative hypothesis, but you must state, since the t-test or the z-test is greater than or equal to the critical value, you either reject or accept the null hypothesis as is determined by your decision rule. Step 10, interpretation must be stated as, from the acquired data, one can or cannot say with a specific amount of confidence that whatever you were testing was true.